Father plan unfolded beautifully. That's from Khalid. Guys, Khabib's dad, Abu Khabib. Abu Habib. I'm going to call him Abu Habib. That's his kunya, the father of Khabib. He's the greatest trainer of all time. Guys, he's the greatest trainer of all time. Khabib is the greatest light heavyweight of all time. And now, look, you have another pound for pound great that's been underestimated, that's not been giving a title. Guys, he could have had this title fight and won it 2 years ago. He could have been world champion 2 years ago. Why they wouldn't give him a title fight? That's probably logistics complicated. So many other guys, ahead in line that have more followers, that have more big fights. Whatever it may be the reason, he was still the best. As soon as Khabib retired, Islam was the best. As soon as Khabib retired, that's the day that Islam became the best active light heavyweight in the world. And it's a shame that we have to wait so many years to see it. Islam did judo sweep to Charles. What do you think? That's from Faiz Musaifa. Guys, that's amazing. You're being pushed up against the fence. Listen to how amazing this guy is. He's being pushed up against the fence. Charles Oliveira is pushing him up against the fence. And Makhachev gets the takedown. A beautiful maneuver, okay? A trip, we call Haragoshi. You see Khabib do the exact same move in the exact same situation against RDA. Rafael Dos Anjos had Khabib up against the fence, driving him into the fence. What does Khabib do? Throws him with a beautiful Haragoshi. Where did they learn this from? Abu Khabib, the father of Khabib, the greatest MMA trainer ever. May he rest in peace. Beautifully trained, well executed. Guys, these kind of trips, you got to learn them young. I'm telling you, I do these trips, but I don't do them at that level. Those kind of trips are very sensitive. I use very different takedowns because I find those trips, they only work for guys who've been doing them since they're very, very young. It takes a lot of hip training at a young age. It's kind of like gymnastics. If you're gonna learn to do the iron cross, man, you better start young. You better start young, because if you want to learn it as an adult, it'll take all the time and energy you have in a week. And you have to spend years doing it. And you just put so much, it takes so much time and effort. It's not worth doing. I like trips. I do them every so often, but not at that level, guys. The way they do it, it's just years and years of doing it from a young age. Why are these Dagestani guys good against BJJ black belts? It's like it doesn't matter. That's from Zubair. Guys, Jiu Jitsu and Sambo, there's no difference. There's no difference. They do wrestling, judo, and Jiu Jitsu. Jiu Jitsu guys need to wrestle. They need to do, obviously, Jiu Jitsu, and they need to do judo. There's no difference. Like the move he did, the move that Islam Makhachev used, the pass he did, that's all Jiu Jitsu as well. Like that doesn't exist in Sambo and not in Jiu Jitsu. No. All those techniques exist. The throw he did, that's all exists in judo. These labels are just marketing. Okay, every time you see a submission, it's Jiu Jitsu, it's Sambo, it's catch wrestling. I mean, there are different emphasis. There's different emphasis on certain moves, maybe from different schools. But ultimately speaking, we're all doing the same moves. Maybe not all the same details, etc. Yes, there are different details, and sometimes moves are innovated, and there's different styles. Yes, but that exists in wrestling in itself. Okay, in Sambo, there are different styles, there are different groups emphasizing different things. It's just such a myth. You always get these people saying Sambo, Jiu Jitsu. No. It's not a question about Sambo and Jiu Jitsu. It's a question of Islam Makhachev has been doing the grappling art since he's young, and he's been trained at the highest level, both on the ground and both standing up in terms of wrestling. Okay, now he learned striking later in his career. You could see that he's not been striking his entire life. He's a bit stiff in the striking. But when somebody takes you down, he's such a threat taking you down. You start thinking, you start taking wild risks. That's what happened with Oliveira. Oliveira's like, I'm going to jump and knee this guy in the face. If he shoots on my legs, I'm going to score a big KO. Like, he risked it all. Why? That's his style. That's his personality. Instead of trying to pick and poke, stick and move, he went for the gold. Now, when you go for the gold, guys, it's high risk, it's high reward. He could have maybe hurt Makhachev, or he could have got hurt. High risk, high reward. Big punches, big risk. Big kicks, big risk. Small punches, small risk. Big steps, big risk. Small steps, small risks. I personally think you shouldn't take big risks unless you're really losing. Like if it was round 4 and Oliveira lost all 3 rounds, I would tell him, okay, now it's time to flying knee, step in hard with an elbow, like do something, end this fight. But he only lost 1 round. Like he should have He should have stayed behind his jab. He should have picked and poked. He should have been patient. He should have countered Makhachev. Countered would have been brilliant. Especially since he stopped the early takedowns in round 2. You know, it showed hope. But he went for it, man. He swung for a home run and he got tagged. Now, if he had scored that knee, everybody would have hailed him as the most brilliant fighter ever. Big risks. Big jumping knees are big risks. But also potential for high reward. Why do you think Charles did not respect Islam's striking? That's from Sam. I don't think he didn't respect Islam's striking. I think that's just the way he fights. He did the same thing. He exposed his chin to every single opponent he's fought. Almost every single opponent tags him. Guys, if I was working with Charles Oliveira, it would take me probably 2-3 months to correct it because it's so habitual. I still think, though, it can be and should be corrected if his trainers were putting their time and energy on that one element. They would far more improve him than anything else. He gets hit too much. He gets his bell rung too much. Now, let me tell you something. When a guy gets his bell rung 3 fights in a row, the guy who knocked him down the 4th and gets the win, well, he's got to thank those 3 other guys because you lose your chin. You get concussed. And then you can't go back into training camp. And your training partners hurt you. And so on. There's only so much your chin can take. That's cumulative shots over the years, getting your bell rung over and over again. Then one day, some guy would never had a single knockout in his career knocks you down. Okay, I'm not talking about Islam Makhachev, but I'm saying I've seen that. Guys with really, really good chins, later on in their career, a guy with no knockouts knocks them out. Okay? Why is that? Well, you abused your chin. You have no more chin. You can turn your iron chin into a glass chin. I've seen it before. You have to treat your health, your chin health, your concussion health. You got to take care of that. That's why when guys spar too hard, I tell them, you're just leaving your talent in the gym. Train technically. Hit the bag hard. Spar once in a while hard, but not all year round getting hit in the chin. Bang, bang, bang. You're just killing that chin. You're killing your brain cells. And then what happens? You get into a fight and some guy hits you, bing, and you fall on the floor. But that guy didn't have much power, didn't have much KOs. What happened there? Well, you abused your chin.